Përshëndetje. Sot kam fatin që me mua është Amy Cupic, një profesioniste në metodologjinë Montessori për më shumë se 25 vite, ndërsa për neve në shkollën Nido Montessori School ajo është nona e Olivia's. Amy, welcome.
Thank you.
It's so good to have you here. We've known each other for like 2 years now. And as a parent in our school, you have been invaluable. And today I'm really lucky that we get to talk about all the things that we like to discuss over coffee. But I think it's important that we share all your knowledge with the people who are listening to our podcast. The first thing that I would like to talk about is if you can tell us a little bit more about you and your wonderful career of 25 years as a Montessori professional, as a Montessori mom, as an administrator. If you can share that with us a little bit.
Sure. So I started my Montessori journey as an administrator in a school. And to be honest, when I took the job, I didn't know how to spell Montessori. I didn't know what I was getting into. I just knew how to raise money and work with parents and do marketing. And it was about 2 months into my work there that I realized that there was something really different about the children in the school where I was working. And everything about them, it was just, I didn't know I was observing. I was practicing my first Montessori observation skills. But it was really seeing the children interact and the way they carried themselves. And I thought, gosh, there's something really quite special about this place. And so I took my training about a year later, and I've been everything. I've been a classroom teacher in the primary 3 to 6 age range for 12 years. I've done administrative work, director of education, marketing, communications, admissions, parent classes, everything. I love everything about Montessori. And then I was fortunate enough to become a parent and have the opportunity to bring Montessori to my family. Incidentally, my husband's actually a Montessori kid too.
Amazing.
Yes.
I didn't know this.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he is. And so feel like I've worn every hat. I was also an assistant in the classroom, which was a wonderful experience for me to start my teaching, having already been in an assistant role, which is also another relationship that's really unique between the teacher and the assistant. It's a very special dynamic that you have to build, and I'm appreciative that I had that opportunity.
The one thing that it would be nice to mention is that you have done the AMI training,
Yes.
which is a specific kind of training. It really requires a lot of effort and it lasts for a while. It's one of the most prestigious trainings you can get. So I think we are both lucky in that way. Yes. Because it's a unique opportunity, I think, and it gives you the very specific perspective on the Montessori methodology. Let's talk a little bit about you becoming a parent, because we get trained and we become Montessori professionals, but then when our children come into life, it's a very different experience.
Absolutely.
Tell us about that. Tell us about how you started implementing this methodology at home, because at home is very different from school.
Yes. Well, I didn't ever have the A to I assistance to infancy training for Montessori, but I did take a class, a course in resources for infant educators, which I feel it's also known as RIE. And it was based on the work of Magda Gerber and her understanding of what children need from 0 to 2. And that really, after my Montessori training, that really gave me insight into what our babies need when they're first coming into this world. And really it starts with respect. So that's what I started with, having the understanding of what it means to be a Montessorian and to understand the capabilities and to truly value what children are able to do when they're given the space to do them, even when they're 3 days old.
Yes.
Even when they're 3 days old. And so with that recent training and then my time in the classroom, I feel like we prepared an environment for one. The prepared environment is a huge part of our work, and it's what makes Montessori, one of the reasons it makes Montessori so special is usually when parents walk into a classroom, they're looking around like, what?
They're mesmerized.
Yes, this is so beautiful and organized, and having that understanding that order in the environment brings order to the mind, and really thinking about what it is that you bring into your space. It's hard to discern as a parent. You have all of the marketing of all the things, all the baby things, all the registry, all the things that people give you when you have a baby. And really remembering that less is more. You know, you need your toppuccino, you maybe need a little sheepskin rug.
Exactly.
That's it. They need the floor because they need their movement. And
the one struggle we've had with parents in school is that when they want to register their kids before the age of 1, we can't accept them because what is really important is that we give them the environment that these children need. And as a school, we were unable to do that. So we always have, and we prefer that kids come to our school after the age of 1, because the change in environment is drastic. The change is very different. Babies need different things. Like you said, maybe a sheepskin rug and maybe like a Monari mobile or something like this, which is very specific. But then after the age of 1, they are really, they need all the advanced movement, so to speak, so that they can lift themselves up and move around freely, so they can take the materials from the shelf and work with them and bring them back, which toddlers are actually capable of doing. But but this is in the classroom, and at home is very different.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, when there's the space that we, as parents, our first and obviously most important instinct is to care for and nurture and love our children. And if you put a little spin on that, that's a more Montessori focused lens. It's seeing what can I do to prepare even my youngest baby to be able to practice concentration. You know, when a baby is laying down on the floor and maybe grasping a toy, it's sort of recognizing the importance, like you are building your child's concentration and ability to attend and focus at that age when you're not interrupting them or in their face, like, you know.
Yeah, so respecting them. Yes, and not being in their space and in their face and trying to get their attention at every moment.
Yes.
They need their own space, even when they are very, very little.
And when you start practicing it and you recognize, oh, it's okay for me to sit back, it's trust. You start with respect and respecting their abilities, even at a very young age. And then also trusting in them that they can manage it, because obviously our children are going to go through emotional, you know, ebbs and flows, and being able to be the parent that assures them, I'm here, and you're upset because of maybe, you know, sports casting through that, like, oh gosh, I see that ball rolled right away from your hands and you're really frustrated. And you can say that to a baby. And sure, intellectually you might think, oh, they have no idea what the point is, but they do, because
they understand, actually.
They understand.
A lot. A lot more than we think.
So much. And so, you know, getting to taking that sort of stage of baby into toddler and beyond, it's just always looking at the environment at home and how can I, you know, having a weaning table and giving, you know, the toddler a small shot glass that's, you know, a thick glass that they can practice drinking from a glass, that they are capable of that.
And that if it falls and it breaks, it's actually okay. And that's how they learn that, things made out of glass, they break.
Yeah.
And it's just exploring the real world, so to speak.
And that, spills happen. Oh, water spilled. And instead of,
stressing
about it, you can say, oh, here's a towel, and we dry it up. So really just implementing all the things where, you're trying to encourage that sense of independence, whether it can start with picking the clothes that they want to wear, not the whole drawer of clothes, but maybe just one or two choices, because it's at a very young age that we help children learn how to manage decision-making through simple things like, which shirt do you want to wear? They have autonomy in picking, yet you're giving them a limit.
And in the long term, it helps with executive functioning, which is super important. And this is when we give them the chance to start, actually doing that. So it's really important. But then your children grew up a little bit, and then you enrolled them in a Montessori school.
Yes.
Both your girls, they went to Montessori schools. The thing that we notice with parents, that there's a bit of pressure that maybe they're not learning in school as much as they should, and maybe I can interfere a little bit at home and, teach them the letters and teach them how to count and do all these things, which is very, very different from what Montessori is. Tell us how you managed that, because I know that there was no old school, I'm going to buy all the Montessori materials at home and introduce all these materials to my children so that the moment that they go to a Montessori school, they're going to be prepared. You didn't do this, so it's very important to share with the parents. It's not necessary.
No, it's not. It's not. And that should be a relief, right? It's less is always more. And when you're intentional about the things that you offer them, language in the beginning, that's everything. They're learning how the development of language and development of movement. So you're making sure that you're giving them the freedom to move, that you're not keeping them, as I say, it all starts when they're so little. Giving that freedom of movement gives them that autonomy to be able to navigate the world. Language is essential because you are their first teacher as a parent. They're hearing and listening and learning what the language is that you speak. Doesn't matter, all over the world. And so just always knowing that there are ways to introduce complex language, like it's not just a plant, it's a fig leaf, or, really like not just that's the bird, and that's even for babies, like, oh, that's a, ruby-throated sparrow. Really, that's how I brought Montessori home, is just understanding that using rich, complex language they have an absorbent mind. So everything that they're hearing, seeing, feeling, they're taking in, which is also another sort of reminder, is to make sure that you are giving them the highest quality of whatever it is, right? Not just,
Yes. Not just not naming things is very important, because also I think this is specific to cultures. Culturally, some languages don't necessarily name everything. So we struggle a little bit with that. Everything has a name, and even if the name is very complex, we give them the language and the children understand. One thing I can mention here is, in school we do the cosmic education with children, and the teacher, the person who is doing the cosmic education, gives the children complex language, and they are able to actually take that language in, understand it, and they can also reproduce it. So
and apply it
also.
I hear Olivia doing that from her. She's telling me about planets and the things that she's learning.
Yeah, like the children were telling me the other day about neutrons and protons and all this complex stuff, and they understand it, and they understand it really well. The one thing that I can relate with you as a parent, what I've done with my second child, is we have bonded through reading books. This child really loves animals, so we talked about animals and how animals communicate, and we used complex language, and now he is able to share this with his classmates and share that with their teachers. And it's really important that we give them the complex language, even when we think that they don't understand, or we assume that they don't understand.
Yeah. The other sort of aspect, along with just language and sort of like naturally counting with your children, instead of feeling like you have to, use a system to teach, you're just, we need 4 forks to set the table, or, it's very organic and very natural. And that's just, that repetition is how you build that mathematical mind, if you will, at home. But then also just that sense of the practical life opportunities that you can provide at home, starting from the entryway, making sure instead of having a hook so high for their coat that they can't reach it, but having something low, a mirror that is low so they can look in the mirror and see if they have crumbs on their face, or, making sure that they have a place for their shoes. And above all, limiting. I think I can't wait to go home and purge, because I myself feel that stress of like when there's too much stuff, they don't know how to, go underneath 3 coats to find the raincoat. That happened just this morning, right? And it was a check for myself, like, oh, right, we need to thin these coats out because they don't need 15 coats. They need 3.
Yes.
1 warm, 1 rain, 1 light, But I think it's just always thinking about the ways that you can set up your home environment, not with fancy materials, but just the things that they use in their everyday lives that they can reach. Is there a dustpan that's low that they know where it is? If this, breadcrumbs fall to the floor, teaching them how to take care of their environment, teaching them the Montessori coat flip so they can put on their coat all by themselves.
Yes.
It's so tricky to not feel as though you're not loving your child if you're not zipping their coat for them or putting their shoes on them.
It's a misunderstanding, because if you give them the opportunity for them to zip up their coat, you're giving them something meaningful and also purposeful to do. So it's very, very important that we give them this freedom.